Hey y'all, Judy here from East Texas Living. I'm out here this morning gonna plant me some more spinach and some lettuce. And I ain't gonna tell y'all how to plant spinach and lettuce. You probably know how to do that. In Texas, you've really got to plant these things fairly early, because before you know it, it's just going to be way too hot for these kind of things. So you get to enjoy those things pretty early and for a very short amount of time. And once again, it's windy as all get out. But I was going to talk to y'all a little bit today, something I saw another YouTuber, well, I think it was a podcast or something I was listening to. And this gal, I think she's from Wyoming or something, and she was talking about, homesteading movement is dead. And I guess I'd probably have to agree with her. At least the trend, when everything was trending that way, coming out of 2020, when people would go to the grocery store and everything was so picked over. I think she's right. And also, just the fact that people didn't know what was going to happen in this country. I think that was a big part of it. But she also mentioned something. She said a lot of the homesteaders, true homestead channels, it's just become more about a political statement or, a religious statement and so on and so forth. And I agree with her on that. So many of them, they just rant and rave about their beliefs, and to each their own. You do you, boo, is what I always say. But I'm not going to do that. For me, what we're doing here, we moved out of the city. We'd had enough of it. And I don't know if any of y'all have ever lived in the city, but it is not fun, in my opinion. And I was always raised in a small town, and some of the things that I do, we did growing up. We always had a garden. We raised animals out on the farm. We always had a freezer. Never got to eat at a restaurant that much, because a restaurant, for the most part, any fancy type restaurant was 50 miles away. And we always had, like I said, we always had a freezer at the house for meat and stuff, because we would often get a cow butchered, and we'd have, a beef in the freezer for a year, and we'd eat off of that. But that's what we always did. And for us, for Jimmy and I, this is more about just knowing what's in our food and not eating, that toxic stuff that you get at the grocery store. They can say it's organic, but, is it really? I don't know. So I'm just trying to control what I consume, and makes me feel a little better. And so that's what we're trying to do. Plus, it's very much like where I was raised. I was raised in an area where, to a big grocery store like an Albertsons or a Safeway or anything of that nature, you had to drive 50 miles to go to a grocery store like that. And in a lot of ways, it's very similar to where Jimmy and I are right now. We have our little small town grocery store, which is great, but they don't have a lot of the things that you would get like at Walmart, and I don't like shopping at Walmart, so don't be hating on me about the Walmart comment. But anyway, this gal on this channel was basically saying, the homestead movement is dead. And again, I just want to be clear, Jimmy and I, we didn't really do this to be homesteaders. We both grew up in a small town, always had gardens, at least my family did, and always, had animals. And so we're really just kind of going back to where we came from. And getting out of Houston was a huge part of it. Sick of Houston area. Didn't like all the traffic. Didn't like all the crazy people on the freeway. And trust me, they're crazy. They'll run you over and they don't even think twice about it. But anyhow, so for us, it's about raising our own food. And my husband is a cancer survivor twice. And so if I know more what's in our groceries and knowing that it's not ate up with pesticides and crap, you know, I feel better about that. And yeah. Anyhow, that's a little bit of my rant about that. Again, this is just about our journey out of the city, getting back to our roots, and being better for it, healthier for it, and happier for it. And she also mentioned, you know, she referred to women, I think of my generation almost. I mean, this gal's, I would put her for maybe mid-30s, so a good 20 years younger than me. And she was kind of, she labeled them not Karens, but in that sense, but she called them Barbaras. And it was ladies that kind of looked at her like, why do you want to raise your own food? Why do you want to put out all that effort? So just, you know, I think her name is Jill Winger, and I don't even know what channel it is. She's in Wyoming. Anyway, I've watched her from time to time. She's a good gal. She has a lot of good information. But all of us gals of a certain age, we're not Barbaras, as she stated. But I agree with her totally. You know, at least know what you're putting in your mouth, how many pesticides and herbicides and all these things are sprayed on your food. And I do try to go as organic as I possibly can. Is everything I do organic? No. But I do try to raise as much of our food organically as I can. That's the plan anyway. But yeah, so anyway, hopefully this lettuce and spinach will take off a little bit. Had a little bit of kale left over, and I've kept it cut back. And I keep trying to like kale, but I just don't think I like it. So I know a lot of people love it, but I'm gonna keep this going. And I've got some up in the greenhouse. I think it's called dinosaur kale or something. It's real bumpy and looks like alligator skin almost. But I'm gonna keep it going and try to mix it in with my salads, and you know, because I think it's supposed to be good for you and all that stuff. But anyway, so this is my little, I always put lettuce in here, spinach. I used to put herbs in here, but now I have those raised beds. I'm going to be doing more herbs. So this will kind of be a little stackable planter for just enough lettuce and spinach for me. Jimmy's not much of a salad eater, although he does like spinach. So anyway, so hopefully y'all enjoyed this. And you know, and again, my intent with this channel is never to get political and too much of my opinion on anything. Everybody's got one, and that's how I was raised. Everybody's got an opinion, and they usually stink, so like something else. But you know, I don't think there's anything wrong with trying to eat clean and eat healthy, and it helps your whole mindset, getting out in the sun and putting your hands in the dirt. I think it's good for the soul. And moving a little more at our age. You know, I'm 57 and spent so many years behind a desk, on a keyboard, on a spreadsheet, and I know it was detrimental to my health. And so I feel so much better up here, moving every day, lifting, shoveling, raking, you know, all the things that I do. I feel a whole lot better. But anyway, part of that is, you know, raising our own food. So hopefully y'all understand that and you can relate to that, and all of us are not Barbaras. It is worth the effort, I believe. It's worth the effort to can a little bit, to cook your own food. Nothing out of a box if you can get away from it. That stuff ain't food. It really ain't. And so anyway, but that's all I got for y'all. And as my mama used to always say to me, and close every one of her letters to me, keep the faith. And I truly believe that. Keep the faith. So y'all take care. Until next time, like, subscribe, and share, and we'll see you on the next one.